Okay, well, this is going to be the first step of making a tree. We're going to be making a Spy Gold apple, which was a variety that Cornell developed about 50 years ago. It's Northern Spy by Golden Delicious. And what we're going to do is we're going to get a stick. This is all current season's growth. So from this spot here, just above these branches, to here, we have something that's about 2 foot long, about pencil diameter. And what we're going to do is we're going to cut this stick and we're going to immediately remove the leaves. At each leaf node, you're going to see a dormant bud. Now each of these buds, we're going to take a bud off and insert it into a rootstock. We're going to get 15 Spy Gold trees off this one stick. And you can see on this tree here we have dozens of sticks. So we could get literally hundreds of trees off this one single mother tree of Spy Gold. This Spy Gold here is identical to the original Spy Gold that Dr. Way at Cornell had as a seedling 50, 60 years ago. So this is clonal reproduction. You remember where we topped the tree in the spring? And if you look down here, you can see where we topped it. You can also see right here where we missed this little shoot here. This is rootstock. I'm going to take it off now. But you can see very clearly where the tree was budded. And then this is the growth that you get in one growing season. August, in 4 months, we're getting a tree that's 5.5, 6 foot tall. And in this particular variety, it even has a few nice little branches. This is an ideal tree. This is, it's the perfect size for transplanting. What we have here then are rows of trees, which they are still growing. They'll be slowing down here just like trees do in the fall. And come 1st of November, they will have lost their leaves. They'll be dormant. They'll have gone to sleep. So what's going to happen is the tractor drives right over the tops of these trees, and there's a big U-blade on the back of it that has a shaker on it. And we just drive right over this row, and it'll bend the trees right down like this, and it will just shake the trees right out of the ground. And we'll dig 4,000 trees a day. And we just dig them, we bundle them up, and we take them into our tree storage. Into here. And we're into the giant opposite of a microwave. It's the cold storage. And all of these bins here will be filled with trees, all organized like gigantic Excel spreadsheets. We're going to fit about 40,000 trees in this barn, and then we spend the winter pulling out. We'll come to this bin and we'll take out a chiseled jersey on G11, and then we'll go over to this bin and we'll take out a John of Gold on G16, and we go to the bin over there and get another tree, and a bin over there, attach the person's name to that bundle, and we'll take that bundle and we'll put it into the bin over there. And then come spring, it's time to ship the trees, and we'll walk over and we'll grab that bundle and we'll wrap it up, stuff it into a box, and UPS takes it away. And that's the end of that story.
All right, there we are.
Super. So here we are now. The trees arrived and you've planted an orchard. And your dream was to have a U-pick orchard. We actually have one here for you here at the farm. So this is a U-pick orchard, and we have a lot of different systems here. This is what we're going to call a high-density orchard, and the advantage of this is you can pick almost everything from the ground. So especially if you're going pick your own, you really don't want to climb up 30-foot tall trees, which is what a standard orchard used to be, and you've got people climbing. Most of the fruit was up very, very high. Most of the fruit on a high density orchard can be reached from the ground, or we make these little stools that get you up 2 feet higher, or we have actually some ladders here that we let folks use. So the main advantage is that the tree is not tall. And that makes easier picking. However, it's also much easier for pruning in the winter. I can prune 80-90% of the tree from the ground, just with a pair of loppers. And then a short ladder to finish the pruning. You prune a big tree, you can spend all day long up and down the ladder, and you're exhausted by the end of a short row. Another advantage is spraying. If you're spraying, you don't want to have gaps. You don't want to have big spaces. You want good spray penetration. It doesn't matter if it's an organic chemical or conventional chemical. You use less, and it's more effective with a tree that is the other side of this tree is right here. This is the other side. We're done. On a standard tree, the other side is here. You can just imagine trying to get the chemical all the way through that tree and effectively doing something. You also get a lot more sunlight. So sunshine is what creates both color, which may or may not be important to you. It's very important to a commercial grower, but it also creates sugar. Now if we switch over to here, these trees are semi-dwarf. These trees were planted in the mid-70s, and it's a very vigorous variety called Mutsu. It's going to have a canopy of, it's going to be roughly 18 feet tall and roughly 18 feet in diameter. That's very rough, but they're substantially larger trees. Now, they do stand on their own. On the dwarf stock, we recommend that you stake them. That is a disadvantage for some people. It's not to say that there aren't dwarf rootstocks that you cannot stake, that you don't need to stake. Some of them will stand on their own roots. There's no point in that. To have a tree stand up by itself as a dwarf it's kind of silly. You're losing the whole idea of being able to produce young. So what we say is you're supporting the crop, you're not supporting the tree. So there's a modern Geneva rootstock called G890. Now G890 is going to produce a tree that's as big as this Mutsu here. However, G890 will have fruit in the second year being planted out of the nursery. So it's still not a large tree. It's still, it's a small, weak tree, but it can support a lot of apples if it has support. It's not going to crack and break over in the ground. It just simply can't hang the fruit. You give it a support for that first 8 years. Every single year of that first 8 years, you will be able to harvest fruit that you wouldn't have been able to harvest if you had not given it support. The gist is, this is a bigger tree. It's semi-dwarf. Obviously much, much harder to prune. Much, much harder to pick apples off of this tree. This is a standard Macintosh tree. And this tree is, we don't know, 80 to 100 years old. Its trunk that you can't even see is your classic gigantic trunk. And we have been, believe it or not, we've been keeping this tree pruned down to try to keep it down. It's still a solid 20 foot tall, and it would take one person a day to pick this on a ladder, and it would be a tall ladder, and you're climbing, with the bag of 30 pounds on you, you're climbing a tall ladder. This is what drove my dad out of Illinois. So Dad was a 4th generation orchardist, climbing standard trees, and he said, I'm done with this. I want something smaller. So they moved the family when I was a kid to New York, and his career was then developing smaller rootstocks, Geneva rootstocks. And this is what drove him to his knees, was picking trees like this.